My name's Carter, and so I'm here to talk about the Street Smarts program. I just want to take a little second to thank everyone for participating today, for listening to my presentation, and for making driving safety a priority in the state of Utah for teens. I think this is a great event. I'm excited to be a part of it. So I've been with Street Smarts for around 2 years now. And like Audra said, I replaced Brett as kind of the point of contact here. I'm a lifelong resident of Utah, and I find a lot of fulfillment being able to work with driver educators and with teens in the state of Utah on a daily basis. It's been a great experience so far, and I look forward to continuing to do so in the foreseeable future. As far as today for my presentation, one of the things I really want to focus on is how the Street Smarts program is able to provide teens with experience before they get behind the wheel of a car. And so hopefully as I kind of go through some of the different features and aspects of the course and the program, I'll be able to show that and explain that. So just as an introduction, many of you may be familiar with Street Smarts and utilize it at your school. It is used at many of the high schools in the state of Utah. So for those of you that do use Street Smarts, hopefully I'll be able to give a refresher of why the Street Smarts program is in place, and be able to kind of give you a refresher of what it is that your students are going through as they do this course. And then for those who are not familiar with the program, please feel free to use my contact info to reach out to me with any questions that you might have about it, or any questions at the end of the presentation as well. The course itself is about 4 hours long. Just as a little bit of a background on it, it consists of 12 lessons and a final exam, which I'll go over the content of those lessons in the next slide. In the course, it's hosted online on our learning management system for easy accessibility there. And over this past school year, we've been able to have around 14,000 students access the training in the learning management system. So that's been a great success to see all those students getting in there and being able to take part in this program. As far as the content of the course, there's 6 modules, and each module is broken up into 2 lessons. So that's what makes up the 12 lessons. And I wanted just to go into a little bit of explanation as to what these modules are and what is actually taught in them. For the first module, the name of that module is Search and Scan. This is where drivers or the students, they learn where to look, when to look, what to look for, and what to do when they identify what we call hotspots that require more attention. So just those things in the road that that you need to be prepared for. The second module is hazard recognition. So this is where drivers learn about clues to look for that will usually show hazards being there, as well as masks or things that hide hazards that prevent you from seeing them until it's too late. And just overall how to anticipate risky situations. They will practice identifying multiple hazards in quick succession during this lesson, and they learn what can happen if they fail to recognize these hazards. Module 3 is sight speed and space management. So this teaches drivers to become familiar with situations that require them to adjust their sight speed and space. And it also provides practice for adjusting speed and space to help maintain vehicle control and to avoid a crash. Then section 4 is judging safe distance. This covers what we call go zones, or the distance that's needed between the driver's vehicle and another vehicle or an oncoming vehicle, and the distance needed to avoid crashes there. And then there's module 5, which is attention and distraction. It's kind of straightforward, but this basically goes over the different types of distractions that come up as while driving. It talks about controllable distractions, such as eating behind the wheel, or having friends in the car, or using your cell phone. Things that really are up to the driver to prevent, as well as uncontrollable distractions. So things that happen outside of the car that you can't control, and how to correctly navigate those situations when that comes up. And then finally, module 6 is the backing module. And this is pretty straightforward. It just goes through safe practices to safely back out of a parking spot or driveway or things like that, how to make sure that, behind your car is clear, how to correctly use a backup camera in accordance with other backing practices that are safe. And so one thing that's kind of in common with all these modules is that they are some of the situations where collisions most frequently take place. So that's kind of what the course has been built around, is the things that that are the most common problem areas. And the purpose of it is to try to give some experience for students before they ever get behind the wheel. And going off of the course content, I wanted to talk a little bit about how that content is delivered throughout the course. So as far as the program, it puts technology to work to try to create an effective learning process. The course uses simulation-based learning approach. So this means rather than just having an instructor on a screen and pushing play to have that instructor talk, the users are put into real-world scenarios that are interactive with them. So they're placed behind the wheel of a car in a an animation, a graphic, and then they receive the instruction from a narrator on how to go through a certain scenario. Then they practice that scenario with the course itself. So it requires a lot of engagement, and that's a key focus in the course, is to try to keep them engaged throughout it. And so the way that that's done is, one, through the simulation type learning, as well as consistent quizzing throughout the course. So each lesson, there's a quiz that is accompanying that lesson, and students must receive an 80% or higher to move on, as well as with the final exam, they must receive an 80% or higher to complete the course. So it does require them to be paying attention in order to be able to pass that. And this interactive format is something that it helps users to stay focused, and also to avoid those distractions while they are taking the course. They can't just they can't kick their feet up and get back on their phone or anything like that. It does require their full attention, which is kind of the goal that we have. We want them to be completely engaged. So I thought the best way to kind of display this would just be to show a couple examples from our course. So that's what I'll be doing. I have a couple screen recordings. Before that, I did want to just mention something about our graphics, to take some time to show the progress there. So we are in the middle of currently making a graphic update for the Street Smarts course. We anticipate that this will be completed by the next school year. And so the content of the course has remained up to date. However, the graphics, they have become a little dated, as you can see here. On the left-hand side is what's the current graphics. And on the right-hand side, those are the graphics that will be in place for the next school year. So overall, this will help to provide a better user experience, improving both the effectiveness of the course. As you can see, that's a lot more clear. You can see things more clearly, and that helps with the scenarios that they go through. And overall, just the enjoyment of the course as well. It's easier on the eyes, and just makes it a better, a more fulfilling process overall. So that's something I wanted to touch on. As you'll see in these two screen recordings that I have, it is actually the updated graphics. These are some of the scenarios that we've updated. But like I said, expect to see those updates for next school year. It's something that we're very excited about, and we think will be a big help. So here, this is one of the screen recordings, and just to give a little background as far as what is taking place here. So the instructor is just, or the narrator rather, has just given some instruction about the problems with multitasking while driving. And so this is a practice scenario where the students are asked to identify any hazards that they see. And so the way that that's done is by clicking on them, as well as to answer the different notifications that come in on their phone. So it's kind of a practice where it puts a real life distraction up while you're trying to do some of the important things while driving, which is recognizing hazards. So I'll go ahead and play this. I'm not sure exactly how the audio will work, and if that'll be very clear, but if it's not, then the most important thing is just to kind of see the video and how these simulations take place. So I'll go ahead and play that now. Hopefully you can see it well. So you can see right there, the garbage truck is one of the hazards that comes up, and they're just required to click on those as well as answering their phone in time. And at the end of this practice, they see their score. And a lot of times it's kind of surprising to see what your score is, because you feel like you maybe got a lot of the hazards that came up. Some of them are more obvious, like the truck here. But for this user that was screen recorded, I believe there was 3 or 4 hazards missed by this user. And so I'm not sure if you saw them all, but that's just a practice to give some experience to the students so that they can see, maybe multitasking, trying to be on my phone while driving is not a good idea. And they're able to do that before, instead of having that experience behind the wheel of a real car and having to learn the hard way. So for the next slide, I have another scenario here that's a screen recording. And this one is a little bit different. This one is showing how to judge safe distance. So what the narrator has said to do here is to push on this go button when it's safe to turn left. So the situation that's being practiced here is making a correct estimate of when there's enough time, and judging that distance based on the speed of the cars there, as well as the number of lanes and things like that. So they go through a lot of different scenarios like this with different speeds and different lanes and things. But here's an example of one. And I do believe that in this screen recording, there is the narrator does share some things afterwards. I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear very clearly, but hopefully the audio works okay there.
Nice turn. On this busy street, traffic was approaching at 45 miles per hour. It's a good thing you were patient and made sure you had enough space to turn safely. Let's move on.
So that's just an example there, in the use of go zones and the type of thing that's taught there within the judging safe distance lesson. Like I said, there's a number of scenarios that are similar to that they go through. And the overall goal is just to give them that experience without needing to be behind the wheel. Obviously, behind the wheel of a car is where the best experience comes, but this is something just to give them a little bit of a background before they have to do that. So aside from the content of the course, I also wanted to touch a little bit about how the course works, how students access it. So here is just, I've shared a screenshot of the sign up page and what that looks like. So when students go to sign up, they just need to fill out a few questions that will help to identify them within the system. So here you can see a drop down next to school district. So they would select their school district. And then once they've done that, the next drop down will show, which will be their school. And then once they select their school, then their teacher, and then their class period. And that way teachers are able to find them within those different sub-departments when they go into the system on the back end. And then they just use their first and last name, and their student number is used as their login credentials. So they enter that information, and once they click create new account, they are taken in and they're able to access the course. And this page is just found on a link that's provided to all teachers that are using the Street Smart program. And that link will take them to this page and they sign up. So it's a pretty simple process of just going to the link, entering the information. And then after they've signed up, they're able to progress as far as they want in the course. Maybe if they want to do an hour or so worth of work and then come back later, it will save wherever they left off, and then they can log back in using their student number. They won't have to create an account again, and pick up wherever they left off. Going along with that, as far as kind of usability, there's also the reporting feature, and this is for administrators and teachers to be able to see the progress of their students or classes. So there is a drop-down function up here where they can select their specific their class, or they'll be able to see, the teachers can see which class they're looking at. They can also search for a specific student there, and then the information that's given is, you know, the percentage of the course they've completed, when they started it, and then they're able to view their certificate there. And the students also, when they complete it, they'll get their certificate. So if they want to just pass that certificate along to their teacher to let them know, hey, I've completed the course, you can do it that way as well. These usage reports, they are downloadable, so you can download it as an Excel sheet, and that's something that we're also able to do as the team here at Street Smarts. If teachers want to see their progress reports and you don't want to log into the system, you can just send us an email and say, can you send me my usage report, and we'll download that and send it your way. So that was most of the main features that I wanted to cover, but I also wanted to leave some time for questions. It does seem like we have like a question and answer function here. And I wanted to provide my contact info as well. So if anybody wants to reach out to me afterwards, feel free to reach out to my email or my phone number. And that is our website as well. As far as, was there any questions that came in?
Yeah, Carter, I'll read them to you. How many schools are using Street Smarts, do you think?
So I don't know if I have a specific number. I would say in the state of Utah, probably around maybe 60% of the schools, to somewhere between 60 and 70%. But yeah, I don't know the specific number. That would be my guess. And then as far as the number of students, there was 14,000 in this last year. So that's kind of gives you a ballpark. As far as specific number, I would say 60 to 70% of the high schools in Utah.
Okay, and just for me to add, when they do a Street Smarts, it's 4-to-1. So the Street Smarts class is 4 hours. It takes an average student about 4 hours and 30 minutes to take the course, and it counts as 1 hour of behind the wheel time. If you want to use it for something outside of that, you can add it to something if you would like. Somebody asked the question, can you add it to Classroom? You can add it to your classroom, but it shouldn't replace something. And obviously the students take the course individually, and most of them take it at home. Another question for you is, the students can use any number as their student ID number as long as they use the same number all the time. So they're wanting to know about the login number.
Right. Yeah, definitely. So something that we have had an issue with in the past is just students forgetting their login credentials. So we've moved to just have them use their student ID, because most students have something that they can use there with their school. But it is something where they can, whatever number they use, they can use as long as they remember it. So we do have homeschooled students where they don't, where they're taking driver's ed with the school, but they don't have a student number. So usually we just will advise them to use their first initial and last name. So anything that they can remember. But like I said, we do have that issue still often where students are forgetting their login credentials. And if that happens, we have a support function within the training site. So when they're on that login page, there's a little support button on the left-hand side. So feel free to advise your students to use that support function. and they can message in and ask for their login credentials, and we can get that to them in a matter of a minute or two. And as well as with any other issues that come up, we do have the support team that's there and ready to help the students with any problems that they have, whether it's with the course, their login credentials, printing out their certificate, any of that, we can help them with all of that there.
One of the questions was, how many times can a student take the course? They can only receive the credit the one time for the 1 hour behind the wheel. But Cardi, you answer how many times it lets them take it.
Yeah, so once they have created their account and they've completed the course, they can go in and review any of the lessons as pretty much as many times as they want. So the license that they have, or the contract period for that license, will last a year. So they have access to it for a year. Obviously, it's best that they complete it within their within the time that they're taking driver's ed, but that is open for them to go and review for that year. But then after a year, that license is expired, just for a number of different reasons. But they can go through and review it as many times as they choose to.
Have you considered having a module for technology or vehicle maintenance?
I believe we have considered some things for like vehicle maintenance, as far as changing a tire and things. Right now, we're not currently under production for any of those. We did recently add a lesson to the attention and distraction module that had to do with mental health and distractions that come up there if you're not in a mental state that you're ready to drive. But as far as for that specific module, I believe we've had talks of it in the past, but there's nothing that's currently under production. But we are open to, if there is needs for that type of thing that is showing to be pretty consistent, then we are open to developing new modules in the future.
What is the cost for school districts to use? I'll let you answer and then I'll follow up.
Right. Yeah. So for school districts, it's priced on a per student basis. And so each student, when they access the course, it uses a user license. So the district would, or whether it's done on a school level or district level, they just purchase the number of user licenses that they'll need for all their students. And each user license is $12.50. So it is on a per user basis, and then however many students are in the district or in the high school, it's just multiplied by that rate.
And so that $12.50 is a reimbursable cost for your driver's ed fund. So you receive a bill from Street Smarts with those license fees, and then the reimbursement is submitted to our office, or the bill is submitted to our office to receive reimbursement. So there's no cost to your school. It's taken care of by the state. So $12.50 a student. Next question, is there a way to get rid of the old site so there is no confusion with the new site?
Right. Yeah, that's a great question. And just to give a little bit of background on that question, over the past year, one of the changes that we've made is we in the past had a site that hosted other driving training courses as well, and we had Street Smarts included with that. But this year we have created a new learning management system, and that is completely dedicated to Street Smarts. And so that changed the link that the students use. So some of the students still had their account on the old site, and then obviously new students were making their accounts on the new site. So that's something we kind of had to keep open so that students that had already made progress could go back and use the old site. As of now, we have shut down the login page, or the sign up page on the old site. So if a student by mistake goes to the old site and tries to sign up there, they will have a message that just says that's no longer available, and it will redirect them to the current site that is to be used. If a student that from past has taken driver's ed in the past, but they need to gain access to that old site, that's still available to get access, but nobody is able to go in and create a new account on the old site any longer. they'll be redirected to the new site. So we've slowly kind of been making that separation there, to give some time for students that still had their accounts there, but that separation is becoming further and further, where now they're not able to sign up anymore there.
Great, thanks. If a new school or a teacher wants to review the course or take the course to see if they like it, or just for a teacher to take it, how do they get access to that, or how can they check it out?
Yeah, that's a great question. We do have a demo uh, available for any teachers that want to check it out, and it does give you access to the entire course. The word demo kind of makes it seem like maybe it'll be a portion, but that's more in reference to the account. So you'll create an account similar to the way that was showed earlier. In order to get access to that, you can just reach out to us. So you can email me or give me a call or go through our website, through any of this contact info, and just request a demo. And then that'll just come over in an email and you'll be able to access it through there. So just reach out to us through any of those means and we can get that to you, just through an email.
Great. I had a question. Can the private driver's ed companies, do you have private driver's ed companies that use this program, or can they use it? Or...
Yeah, they can. I don't think we have any currently using it, but there's nothing stopping them from using it. We can set you up in the system the same way. So it is available to anybody that would like to be part of the program.
Another question about the link. Will we use this year's link for summer school classes being taught in June? So I think they're kind of wondering when the link's going to change over.
Right, so that link will remain the same throughout the summer. And then just kind of as usual, if we have any changes to the link or to the login instructions, those will come out at right before this next school year, where that's usually where we reach out and make our contact to get everything set up. So it'll remain the same throughout the summer. And if there is any changes needed, you'll receive that information before next school year. So be ready in the month of toward the end of August, or just throughout the month of August, to receive any information from us. We'll do our best to reach out in a timely manner at that point.
Okay, and real quick, I have about 5 Idaho questions on here, so I'll answer them. Idaho does not have a reimbursement program for street smarts, and Idaho does not have a program to use simulated training to replace behind the wheel training, but it can be used to enhance your program. So if you have a student who's struggling, or a student who needs extra time or extra practice of some kind, or a student that's just struggling with different concepts, you're welcome to use the program, but it does not replace behind the wheel time. In Utah, this course will replace 1 hour of behind the wheel time. In Idaho, it does not replace it at all. And that would be a legislative change to do so. And also the reimbursement program, because it's not part of legislative in Idaho to replace the behind the wheel time, there's no reimbursement program for it. So it would be up to the school to pay for it, or the private companies or whatnot to take care of that. You have another question. So if a student creates 2 counts, will you delete one of the counts, or will they be double charged?
Right, that's a great question as well. That is something that we run into from time to time, where students will, rather than reaching out to find their login information that they've already used, they'll just create a new account. What we can do with that, whenever we do find them, we go ahead and we delete them and make sure that there's not 2 accounts there, so you're not getting double charged. As well, when it comes to a time where you're getting close to, say you have 100 licenses, and if you're getting close to having used all those, or you have used them all, we'll go through and vet that list of students to make sure and see how many duplicates there are. So if there's 5 or 10 duplicates, we'll make sure to get those that number of licenses reallocated, so that you're not getting double charged there. And that's something too, if you do have suspicions that students have created a duplicate account, you can reach out to us and just let us know. or say, hey, can you go through and vet my students for me to make sure that I think some of them may have created duplicates, and we can go through and do that. So typically that process happens either if you reach out and you're suspicious of it, or if we're getting closer to needing to add more licenses to your account, we'll go through and do that vetting process beforehand.
Okay, thank you, Carter. We're out of time, and if anybody has any more questions regarding Street Smarts, feel free to reach out to Carter or myself, and we can take care of that for you.
Great. Yeah,
Thanks,
thank you
Carter.
very much.
Thank you.